Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Meghan Fahey and I'm going to be teaching the Heart Knit Hat class today. So we're going to go over all the different kinds of yarn. If you don't have your supplies yet, as Felicia said, this video is going to appear on YouTube on Monday so that you'll be able to go back, especially if you get lost or if you get frustrated or if you need a break or have to be pulled away. You can always come back and start up with us again and do it again slower, pause it, rewind it, whatever you need to do. But what's nice about this live class right now is I can see what's going on. Some of you have your videos on. Thanks for coming. It's nice to see you. You do not have to have your video on, so don't feel like you do, but you're welcome to talk to me in the chat if you need me to repeat something. If you have a specific question, we can always go back and answer those. So it's nice to have this live class so that we can communicate together and I can try and help you make this beautiful hand knit heart. So the good news is if you've never knit or crocheted or done any kind of yarn work before, I still think it's very possible for you to make this heart today. The heart project, I would say, probably takes about an hour and a half, and this class is an hour long, so we might need to do a little bit of movie magic, and you might need to come back and watch the video, but you can make this heart and knit it without any experience in about an hour and a half. So I'm going to talk a lot about yarn, and I'm going to show you in the shopping list that I put for this. It might have been a little confusing, but what I was hoping you would get was this chunky yarn. So Felicia, if you don't mind switching to my overhead camera so I can show everybody. The jumbo yarn is weighted 7. Can you see, Felicia, did you switch it?
I did. I can see.
Okay, I must be looking at the wrong view. My bad. Yep, I am.
That's okay.
That's me. So, I don't know. Okay. So there is a 7 on your yarn and it is the jumbo size. So even if you have a 7 and even if it's jumbo, there's still a lot of variation. So 1 or 2 skeins is what you're going to need. I can usually get a whole heart done in this 1 skein, but if you have something like this fluffy Chanel, this fluffy Chanel that's loops and threads is obviously thicker than this other one. And so you're going to have a harder time getting this done in 1 skein. You're probably going to need 2 skeins. You can also find some other types of yarn that are going to be thinner. And you can imagine that the thinner the yarn, the smaller your project. So if you want to make a small little heart, then you're going to need a smaller yarn. If you want to make a bigger heart, you're going to need that bigger yarn. So if you have a 7, if you have a chunky yarn, that's definitely going to be what's going to work the best for you. Let me remove this. There we go. And we're going to start off with a slip knot. So my name again is Meghan Fahey, and every Thursday and Friday, I'm going to be coming to you with some different classes. Now, I am a craft adventurer, so it won't just be yarn. Sometimes coming up soon, we're going to do paint pouring, we're going to do wood burning, we're going to do crochet, we're going to do one of those big chunky blankets. So there's lots of different classes that you can join. The process will be the same for any of the different size yarns that you happen to have, but try and shoot for a 7. So some of the yarns I just told you about are the Loops and Threads Fluffy Chanel. It's really soft. These are just brand new. They just came out in the stores, I think, a couple of days ago. Very fluffy, very soft, very fun to work with. So that's the Fluffy Chanel. An older yarn that was sold in the stores is called the Cozy Blanket for Loops and Threads. They may still have some of this at your Michael's, but we did have a reset, so they might not have that anymore. And then we have the Bernat that has this blanket big, and Bernat also has one called the Plush Big, which is going to make that smaller size heart. So all of these are 7s, but as you can tell, all of these have different sized finished projects. So if you have 1 or 2 skeins of jumbo yarn, you're going to be good to go. And if you have some polyfill, something to stuff that pillow with, it's not going to take a lot, Probably just about 4 handfuls of the polyfill in order to make that. And then of course a pair of scissors is going to be handy. So if you have these 3 ingredients, that's all you need in order to make this heart today. So we're going to start with a slip knot. And I don't know if any of you have ever made slip knots before, but I'm going to show you a method to make a slip knot. So I am going to take my right hand and I'm going to hold it and kind of point all my fingers towards myself. And then what I'm going to do is there's a tail at the end of your yarn. And then the side that's closest to the big ball or the skein is called the working yarn. So I'm going to point my fingers towards me and I'm going to drape the tail. So notice the tail's on the right and the working yarn is on the left. And I'm going to take this yarn and I'm going to hold it with my other hand and I'm going to twist. So you got to use your wrist and you're going to twist the yarn and then you're going to reach in and you're going to grab that working yarn and pull it through. And that's how we make a slip knot. So I'll definitely show that again. Yep, that's a good slip knot. And then you can pull it and you know it's a slip knot if the knot actually slips up and down your yarn. So I'm pointing my fingers towards me. I'm draping it so that the tail is on the right side and the working yarn is on the left side. And then this is the trickiest part. I'm going counterclockwise. So I'm going away from me. And then I'm going to grab with my pinchers the working yarn. So make sure you're grabbing the working yarn and not the tail. Tail's in my other hand. And you pull that through and that makes the slip knot. And again, you know that it's the slip knot because it can actually slip up and down this yarn. So if you got a slip knot, we're good to go. I'm going to show that one more time and then we're going to move on. So I'm wrapping around my fingers towards me. Here's my working yarn. Here's my tail. I'm going to go counterclockwise. So I'm using my wrist, going counterclockwise, using some pinchers. I'm holding on to this yarn in my left hand. And I'm going to grab some of this working yarn and pull it through. And then when you pull on the tails and pull on the loop, you've made your slip knot. So I think for a tail, whatever you end up with is going to be fine because we're just going to end up tying that in at the end. But if you have maybe about 3 or 4 inches, that would be a lovely tail. So there's our slip knot looking good. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a chain stitch. So I like to call these my pincher fingers, and I can fit a couple of fingers into this loop. Remember that you can make that stitch tighter or you can make it looser because it is a slip knot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of this working yarn and I'm going to pull it through. And that just made a chain stitch. So I have my loop. I put my pinchers through my loop. I'm going to grab some of the working yarn and I'm going to pull it through. And that just made my chain stitch. Now, if you're going to make one of those big fluffy blankets, you would just keep doing a bunch of chain stitches as wide as you want your blanket to be. And then you could go back and you could keep adding rows in order to make a really long blanket. But for us, what we're going to do next is we're making a heart. So let me show you the plan. We are making, starting from the bottom of the heart, working up. So we're going to chain 1 stitch, which is what we just did. And then we're going to increase to 2 because that's how we're going to get that heart shape. And then we're going to increase to 4, increase to 6. We're going to increase by 2s each time in order to get that heart bottom shape. So far I have my slip knot and I chained 1 stitch, and that's as far as we are so far. Now, in the same spot with this stitch, I need to put a second stitch so that I can make that V, and so I can start making the bottom of the heart. So what you want to do is if you pulled a loop through in the same way, it would fall out because that's how the yarn is situated right now. So instead of pulling a loop through, what you're actually going to do is push a loop through. So I'm pushing a loop backwards, kind of like a pretzel or like a bow. So I'll show you again. Here's my chain. Here's my one stitch. And instead of pulling a loop out, I'm going to push a loop back. And I've made this pretzel, I've made this heart shape, this bow shape, and that's what we have so far. So we have our one stitch, we turned it into two, and this pretzel has this working yarn coming out up towards me. I'm going to flip this whole thing over so that the working yarn is coming down. So I'm going to flip the whole thing over so that the working yarn is coming down, and you can see this lovely little pretzel or bow. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull stitches through each one of these two loops. So every time you pull a stitch, you just go with your pinchers, maybe one or two fingers, through the loop and pull a new loop up. So I just pulled a new loop up. Then I'm going to go through this other one and I'm going to pull a loop up. And so now I have two loops again.
Hey, Megan,
Yeah,
there has been a couple of questions. I was trying to find a good spot to
sure.
stop. So there's been a question wondering or not you can provide a handout
Ooh.
of the instructions.
Good question. So I think what's a good idea is we have Learn with Michaels. It's an Instagram and we have Forum Coleman. So the easiest way for me to give you information if you do have Instagram is for me to post it on these two places for you to go. If you don't have Instagram and you want to send us an email, we can do that too and we can figure it out from there. But yeah, I can post some more pictures of this. And remember that this is being recorded. So if this is frustrating or your first time or you're distracted or anything like that, you can always come back and watch this video on Monday. I am making a yellow heart today, so this is just going to be yellow. You can make whatever color you want to. The loops are probably going to be about 2 or 3 fingers big. And again, if you have 2 skeins of the yarn, you can make bigger loops and you can make more loops, and then you will end up with a bigger size heart. Or if you want to make a smaller heart, you want to make your stitches smaller. So I'm going to come back to the pretzel. I'm actually going to leave this here and I have some other pieces of yarn to get us going. And this one is a different brand. It's less fluffy, so you might be able to see it better. So what I'm going to do is I start with my slip knot. I'm going to stick a couple of fingers through and I'm going to grab the working yarn and pull it through, and that was my chain 1. So I chained 1 and I'm going to chain 1 and then I'm going to increase to 2. So I pulled the loop out of that loop. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to push this loop through that same spot. So I'm pushing backwards until I get about that same size. So here's my chain. And then I'm going to take the working yarn and I'm going to push it backwards through that space in order to make 2 stitches. Then I'm going to flip the whole thing over so that the working yarn is coming down. And then I'm going to stitch those 2 stitches. So I'm going to pull some yarn through this first loop. There we go. And then I'm going to pull some of the working yarn through the second loop. There we go. And so here we are at this spot. So what I did was I had my slip knot. I made 1 chain. And then this is honestly the hardest part. That's why I'm taking some time with this. It will get easier from here. So once you have your chain, your slip knot, and then you pull a loop through, and then you're going to push a loop through, and that's your pretzel. Remember, the pretzel's coming out towards me, so I flip it over so that the pretzel is going to the back. And we're going to keep going from here, but feel free to keep asking questions. So right now the yarn is coming down and I have done 2 stitches. So I increased to 2 and then I stitched 2. Every time we're working from right to left, we're going to be increasing, and then we're going to go back from left to right and we're going to stitch that number. And that's how we're going to keep increasing to make this heart shape. So for increasing, here's what you're going to do. I have this loop and this loop, but I need to change these 2 stitches into 4. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull a loop through this, but then you're also going to go next to the stitch, and you're going to find this little space in between the loop you already have and what you make with this yarn. So I'm going to pull this first stitch through, and then I'm going to show you that next to the stitch, there's going to be some yarn. I'm going to squeeze a stitch into there. So now I have 2 kind of coming out of that same spot. So that's how I'm going to increase. And then you see right here, I have this part of the stitch that's kind of hanging over. I'm going to pull an extra loop through here in order to increase it. And then I'm going to pull a loop through this final loop to get us to 4. So now we're at 4 stitches. We've increased to 4. So I'm sure that I'll show that again. Okay, we have our pretzel. We stitched the 2. The working yarn is going down towards my table. I have the 2 obvious stitches I'm going to pull through, but then the less obvious stitches are going to be this yarn that's kind of next to it, where I'm going to pull through there. So I'm going to pull 1 stitch through this loop, and then next to it, I'm going to pull a loop. So here, in between this stitch. And then this is the next obvious loop to pull through, but this piece of yarn right here is going to help me pull an extra stitch. And then I'm going to pull through the obvious last loop. So we have increased to 4. And then after you increase, you're just going to go ahead and stitch those 4. So on my yellow heart, since I have these 4, what I mean by stitching is just pulling these loops. So you'll notice when I'm pulling loops that I'm putting the working yarn going in the direction that I'm trying to go. So I'm about to stitch this direction. And then I'm going to use my pinchers and I'm grab a little bit of working yarn for each one of these loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. And then I'm going to increase to 6. So what that means is that in this space and the space right next to it, I'm going to pull an extra loop in here in order to create 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in between here, I'm going to pull an extra loop to make that 6. So feel free to keep crafting along with me. If you're not able to keep up, that's okay. The video will be available on Monday, and you can watch it at your own pace and make sure that you're getting all these steps. So I'm going to increase to 6, which means I'm going to pull this loop, and then I'm going to squeeze a loop in next to it. So I pulled 2 out of that same space. 3, 4. Now I'm going to squeeze a loop in between this stitch. So I'm going to pull a loop up here and pull one through that last stitch. So here we are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have increased to 6 going this direction. And now we're going to stitch those 6. So in order to stitch those 6, you're going to pull a loop through each one of those 6. Yep, looks like you're doing okay. 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. And as you can see on this pattern that I have, we're going to keep going this process where we're increasing by 2, and you're only increasing on those last 2 stitches. The rest of the stitches in the middle are going to stay the same. And what's nice about that is the fact that the middle stitches stay the same is how we get these really cool ridges on our final pillow. So we're just increasing on the sides, building up this bottom part of the heart. And we are at increase to 6, and we just went across and stitched those 6. So now we're going to increase to 8, and we're going to increase to 10, and we're going to increase to 12. And then 12 is where we're going to stop and start making the other part of the heart. So again, the overview of what we're doing is we're going to be making 2 of these hearts, going up to 12 and then doing the top of the hearts. And then we're going to use our fingers, no tools or anything, and kind of use the yarn and go through this to make this pillow, stuff it with some stuffing, put these 2 pieces together, and that's going to be the whole project. So this is the hardest part right now, especially the bottom of the heart. Once you get the hang of pulling those loops, you're going to be really good with this. So we are now at increasing to 8. So I go through the first loop and I got to squeeze an extra loop in next to it. So I'm going to squeeze this one in so that there's 2 coming by that spot. Then I'm going to keep going, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to squeeze an extra stitch in here. So the stitch next to the loop, I'm going to squeeze in and through that final loop. And we have now increased to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches across. So since we increased going this way, now we're going to stitch those 8 going from left to right. I'm so glad that you guys are coming. This is going really well. There's so many of you here participating. I'm going to be stitching these 8 going from left to right. 7, 8. Okay. And now I need to increase from 8 up to 10. So when I'm increasing, I'm only increasing on the ends. So first I go ahead and loop this, and then I find that yarn next to it so that I can pull an extra loop through there. There we go. And then you just go ahead and stitch the ones that are in the middle the same way that you've been doing. And if your piece is starting to fan out, you are absolutely doing it right. Make sure at the end that you squeeze an extra loop in here. So I'm going to pull an extra loop right here, and I'm going to pull a loop through the final loop. So now I'm up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches. We're going to stitch going from left to right. We're going to stitch all 10 of those. If you are totally lost and you don't want to wait until Monday, I completely understand. I will put some videos and some more of these instructions on the Learn with Michael's Instagram page. If Felicia, I don't know if they can email you or not.
Someone asked whether or not if you could show the email where they need to email it again. But what I would also suggest is maybe after the class, once we get ready to upload it, we can put the instructions in
Sure.
the YouTube description.
Sure.
That would definitely be awesome. And I'm not for sure if you saw this. Someone is asking if you could kind of re-explain step 8 again.
Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that by step 8, you mean that going 8 stitches across. So what's nice about this is once we get past this chunk at the bottom, which is pretty much the hardest chunk to get started, it's the same process over and over again. You're just going to be, every time you go from right to left, you're going to be increasing by adding an extra stitch in next to the first loop. And then when you go back from left to right, you're just going to stitch all of those. You're just going to kind of lock them all in. And then each time you go from right to left, you're going to increase just on the very first one and just on the very last one. So step 8 is exactly the same as where we are. It's just depending on how many loops we have so far. All right. So.
And Megan, I don't mean to have you to pause again.
No
I
worries.
think there's a lot of people that are asking about the video. So what I will say, I am going to get with the powers that be Let's see if we can get this video uploaded by the end of business. I
Okay.
cannot guarantee it,
Yeah,
but I would try my best to see if we can get this video uploaded by the end of business.
that would be awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so we'll try and hook you up with this as soon as possible. So I appreciate that so many of you are crafting along with me. That's really fun for me too, so that I kind of know how fast to go or how slow to go. But we're doing well. So we have this much so far. I'm up to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I'm about to increase to 12. If you're not with me, you can always go a little bit, just keep adding the 2 at the end and you'll catch back up. It is okay if your stitches are not as tight as mine and they have some loose, you can actually see through them a little bit. That is absolutely okay. So I'm about to increase to 12, which means that this last loop, I'm going to pull a loop through, and then I'm going to find a space next to it to pull an extra loop. And it's okay if you're just on stitch 8. You can keep watching, keep going with us. So I put 2 through this, and now I'm going to stitch all of the regular stitches in the middle. Don't forget when you get to the end that you want to add an extra stitch here to get that increase. And now we are up to 12. It is really okay if you're lost or if you're frustrated. This is a new craft, so I'm proud of you for even trying. So the fact that you showed up, kudos to you. So now that I've increased going from right to left, I'm going to stitch all 12 of those just by pulling up these loops. And we are going to try and get this video to you as quickly as possible so that you can keep going with us on this journey. We'll include the directions too, so that can help you out. Okay, I have stitched 12. And then this is just going to be slightly different than what we've done before because we are at the bottom of our heart. We chained 1, we increased it to 2, and then we stitched those 2. We increased to 4, stitched the 4, increased to 6, and we kept going back and forth, increasing, going one way and stitching going the other until we got up to 12. And 12 is where I'm on right now. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch 12 again, going in this direction. And then we're going to break off and we're going to start doing the top part of the heart. It's going to be the same process, so you're not going to have to learn any new stitches. This is the only stitch you need over and over and over again. I'm going to pull all 12 of these loops. There we go. So I have 12. And my working yarn is over here on the left-hand side now. So that was an extra row of stitches to kind of give it that extra build. And then what's going to happen is we're going to be breaking off into the different parts of the heart. So we're about to make the top left-hand corner of the heart, and we're only going to stitch to about 6, which is half of the 12 that I've started. And you're going to keep going back and forth, and you're going to be decreasing to make that rounded part of the top of the heart. So we're about to just focus on this half. If you went over and you went to 16, that's fine. Just make sure that you break it halfway. So since I went to 12, I'm going to be focusing on just these 6. If you went more than that, hopefully you still have an even number and you just split it in half for your heart. Obviously, this is the way to make your pillow bigger by adding more stitches. Okay, so I'm going to go from left to right, and I'm going to stitch 6 stitches going from left to right. I'm going to pull a loop through 6 of those. So I'm stopping at 6. I'm not going all the way across because I'm just focusing on this part of the heart. And now we're about to start a decrease. So I would say you only need 1 or 2 skeins for this project. If your stitches are nice and tight and your yarn is pretty thin and there's a lot of it, you probably could get it done in 1 skein. But 2 would be nice just in case. And then if you don't have polyfill to stuff it, I sometimes use the extra yarn to stuff it, and I like that too. So I'm just kind of answering some questions as I see them in the chat. So I've just stitched my 6 going across, and then I'm about to decrease. So this is the only brand new thing that we're going to learn. So to decrease, what you're going to do is instead of pulling a loop through this one, you're going to put the loops on top of each other. So here's my 6th loop. I'm going to put it on top of the loop right before it, and I'm going to pull a loop up through both of those. And that's how you decrease the stitches. So instead of it having 6 stitches, I'm about to turn it into just 5 by looping those on top of each other. So once I pull this loop and put it on top of it, then I pull a normal stitch through both of those in order to decrease. It is like knitting 2 together. You're absolutely right. Or a decrease. And then I'm going to do a normal stitch through the other ones. 2, 3, 4, 5. So by combining those first 2, we have now decreased to only having 5 loops to work with. When I go in this direction, I'm about to decrease to have only 4 loops to go together. And you're going to keep going back and forth until we've decreased all the way down to the top of the heart. So here I go. I'm now decreasing to 4 by doing the same thing just on the first stitch. I'm taking this loop and I'm stacking it on top of this loop, and I'm pulling the yarn through. And I've decreased. Do the normal stitches, 3, 4, and now I'm down to just 4. So I have decreased to 4, and now I'm about to go from right to left, and I'm going to decrease to 3 by stacking the first 2 and pulling a loop up through there. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. Then we're going to go from left to right, and we are going to decrease to 2 by stacking these 2 loops on top of each other and pulling 1, 2. And finally, when we decrease one last time, we stack these last 2 loops on top of each other and we pull a loop up through to get to just that 1. Let me see if I can get to a space where I can show you. If you're a little further behind still. It looks like so many of you are playing along with me and you're doing a great job. Let's see here. All right, so for your decrease, no matter which step of the decrease you're on, what you're doing to decrease is you're putting 1 loop on top of the other one and then pulling the stitch through both of those. Now at this point, we have finished this side of our heart, so we are ready for some scissors. It's okay if you're lost, we'll catch you back up in the replay. I'm going to leave about, I think it's about 6 inches, and I'm going to cut that tail. So notice how I have these beautiful stitches going across here. I don't want to break that flow. So I want to take this last loop and kind of fold it over so that it can keep that continuous movement. And then what you're going to do with this tail is you're going to pull it up through to kind of tighten it. And then this is what so many of us crocheters and knitters hate, is weaving in the end. So you're going to take the end of this and you're just going to kind of push it through a couple of stitches to kind of get it to the back of your space. So that's the top part of the heart. I'm about to do the other side. So if you missed that, you can kind of use similar directions in order to do this next part. So you can try it again on this side while I'm showing you the right-hand side. So the only difference between what we just did over here and what we're going to do over here is that we're kind of working in a different direction. So this time we're about to add some yarn and stitch 6, and then we're going to stitch 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to pull up that yarn and finish off the top of the heart again. So in order to start, we don't need any fancy knots. We don't need any slip knots. We don't need anything crazy. All we need to do is leave a little bit of tail and just pull the first loop through. So you don't need to do anything fancy over here. You just need to leave a little bit of tail and pull your first loop up through here. So what we're going to do on the right-hand side of the heart, and even if you don't have the left-hand side, you're welcome to just skip to this part and come back to the other side once you get the hang of it. So I pulled up one loop. I left this leftover yarn over here. I'm going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have my 6 stitches going from right to left. Now I'm about to decrease. So again, the way you decrease is you always put the one loop on top of the next loop, and then you're going to pull your working yarn through both of those at the same time while they're stacked up. Thank you so much to the people in the chat that are posting those pictures. I think that helps. Thank you. We're all working together. So I have this decreased, and then I stitch the other ones. 2, 3, 4, 5. I have that tail kind of still hanging out here. That's fine. We'll weave it in. So now I'm going to decrease each time I make a pass. So I'm going to stack this loop on top of this loop, and I'm going to decrease. And then I'm going to stitch the other ones. So now I have decreased down to 4. Right here on my pattern. I'm about to go this direction, and I'm about to decrease down to 3. So I stack the loops on top of each other, and I pull a stitch through both of those. And I have decreased down to 3. Now I'm going to go this direction, and I'm going to decrease down to 2, stacking these loops on top of each other. Decrease down to 2. And then one last step, I'm going to stack these on top of each other, and I'm just going to decrease down to 1 by just pulling one little loop of yarn through there. Now, again, leave maybe about 6 inches or so of tail. And we want this to be a nice continuous feel. So you're going to want to pull this loop down across, kind of in the direction that this stitch is going. And then you want to go from the back of your heart and pull up through this back stitch and through the loop that you have in order to kind of pull that and secure it. And then I'm going to take this extra yarn, and I'm just going to push it through one of the stitches so that I can kind of hide it on the back. We have made our first heart. If anybody made it, I'm so proud. Shout out to anyone who was able to make it on their first try. Do not be sad if you didn't get it your first try. We're going to make 2 of these hearts, and then we're going to loop them together. So because this is a 1-hour class, I feel like I need to show you next how to join them together. And then if we have any time, I'll start you out on the next heart. And anybody who wants to try again can kind of follow along with us when we start our next heart. So I do have to use a little bit of TV magic since this is an hour-long class. And I have another one of these hearts already made. So this side that has this nice ridging is called the knit side. On the other side, these stitches over here going horizontally are called purl stitches. So this is a knit stitch, and this is a purl stitch. And eventually you can use those to do different patterns with. But what we're going to do is we are going to put the knit stitch and the knit stitch, because those are our good sides, together. And you're going to line those up together. And then you have the tails where you first started both of these. So I have my good side and my good side, knit stitch and knit stitch side together, and then the purl side facing up. These places where you started with your tails at the very beginning, you're going to use those and tie them together just in a normal knot, just to kind of keep those two pieces in place. Any of these extra yarns can be woven in through some different stitches just to keep them on that side. And then I'm going to take about a wingspan worth of yarn. And this is going to be my sewing yarn. So we are about to stitch these two pillows together. And you can see how these stitches line up pretty nicely. And I'm really just going to do like a whip stitch, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to connect these together. So after you've made your two hearts, then this is how you connect them together. And this project total will probably take you about an hour and a half. And since we only have an hour today, that's why I'm skipping a little bit. But if we have time at the end, I'll go back and I'll show you how to start the heart again. So I have just put this through my first stitch and I just tied a knot. All of this is going to get flipped inside out to make your pillow. So it doesn't matter what this part looks like right now. And I have about a wingspan worth of yarn that I'm using for sewing purposes. And you just want to keep it lined up as nicely as you can. And you do not have to do every stitch, but obviously the more stitches you do, the less likely you will be to have holes or stuffing coming out. Yeah, the bigger, the chunkier the yarn you use, the bigger your heart is going to be for sure. And also remember that I stopped at 12 stitches. You could keep going. You could go all the way up to 20 stitches if you want to before you do the other sides of the hearts. And you can make this pillow as big as you would like using the same techniques. You know, we are making it happen. So I'm just going through and I'm going from bottom up. Ooh, somebody posted a picture in the chat. Okay. So we're going from bottom up and bottom up all the way around. And we're going to leave some space. When I get to about here is where I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to turn everything inside out to do the stuffing. So if you run out of your yarn, that's okay. You just tie on and keep going. The next step. So I'm just whipping these stitches around to show you. I'm going from the bottom forward. We got some cheerleaders cheering each other on. I love that. I absolutely will lay out these directions for you. That can help you. And we're going to try and get this video onto YouTube as fast as we can, because it sounds like a lot of you want to make this heart right now, and I want you to. So we will make it happen. Looks like this piece of yarn I'm working with and stitching with is going to get me far enough to be able to turn it inside out and do the stuffing. Here I go. So I still have this part that's open. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie this in a knot just to kind of keep it secure. And remember, all of this is like the bad side. It's about to go onto the inside of the heart, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. I'm going to turn it inside out so that you can see those nice, beautiful knit stitches. Ooh. Stick anything that's left over inside. And I'm going to take about 4 handfuls of polyfill. And you can make it as fluffy or as flat as you'd like. It's okay that we have lopsided hearts. They don't have to be perfect. Love isn't perfect. Hearts don't have to be perfect. Ooh, maybe only 3 handfuls of polyfill for me today. There we go. And then I want to cut another wingspan of yarn for my sewing. I usually only cut a wingspan because I don't want it to get too long and tangled. Ooh, I'm getting a little fuzz on me. And then I can find any string that's already in here and kind of attach on my sewing string, or you can just tie a knot and start sewing again. That's fine too. There we go. And I'm going to connect these pieces together. And I'm going to keep using kind of like a whip stitch going around those. Didn't quite get my knot on there. The fuzz is flying. So I saw when I was at Michael's the other night, I saw that they have like a velvet yarn too, which is like, that could make the most amazing heart pillow ever. It's definitely thinner than the one I'm using. So yeah, like check out that velvet. And they have this one that's like a faux fur. So it's like so soft. And when you turn that into a pillow, I bet it's going to be amazing. But it is a little chunkier, so it's probably going to take 2 skeins instead of just 1. All right, so I got the stuffing coming out, and I am just going through these stitches on both the top and the bottom heart, and I am attaching them together as quickly as I can. And any extra strings that are hanging out are all just going to get tucked inside, and you're going to have this great heart pillow. Now, I just found out recently from somebody that a lot of times after a couple of different kinds of surgery, you're kind of given these heart pillows for recovery to kind of keep your arm up in a different position. So what a cool gift if you know somebody that's going through a surgery that needs that. Or awesome Valentine's gift, definitely from the heart. And I am a full believer that hearts should be decorated year-round, not just at Valentine's Day. So I'm just finishing off the bottom of this by just continuing to stitch around. And I think I've gotten this whole thing sewn. So anything extra, if you want to kind of wrap it around something to tie a knot just to make it feel like it's not going to come undone, that's probably a good idea. Maybe I'm going to wrap it through something else one more time and tie a knot just so that it doesn't come undone. I'm just pulling it through a random spot and kind of making some square knots. And any of this extra yarn, find yourself a little space and tuck it in. So like I said before, if you don't have polyfill or if you don't feel like going out and buying polyfill, I sometimes just take the rest of my yarn and literally stuff the pillow with the yarn. And the nice thing about that too is that you won't ever see any white stuffing in it if you use the extra yarn you have to fill it with. It's going to be the same color. So look at this that we just created. So exciting. So we do have about 10 minutes. And I'm going to try and go through and answer as many questions as I can. But before I do that, let me give you some more information again. So thank you so much for coming. Learn with Michaels is our Instagram. 4M Coleman is me. I'm going to put some videos and some clips on these as soon as I can to keep you going, and also tell you about some more of my upcoming classes. I know every Thursday and Friday, all of February and all of March, I'm going to be teaching different classes, some yarn and some other things. I have paint pouring coming up next week. I have a Galentine's pinata party, which I love making pinatas. I love a good Galentine's. Let's bust something up and have some fun. I'm also going to teach wood burning. I'm going to teach floral arrangement. So I have lots of different things that I want to show you. And then if you like this pillow, or if you think you can do this pillow, you can do a chunky blanket. So there is a chunky blanket coming up on February 22nd, and you just keep using that same stitch over and over again to make that blanket. So it's very doable. And if you liked this fluffy heart, I got a fluffy bunny coming up for you in March. So all of these are on michaels.com/online classes. You can sign up for all of those. And I think some people want me to show you these. So here are the direction pages, and I can take pictures of these and post them also. But here's how we started. We chained 1, we increased to 2, we stitched the 2, kept going back and forth in order to make the bottom part of the heart. Then we broke off to the left-hand top side, and you decreased by stacking those loops on top of each other. And then you went onto the other side, stitch 6 by adding in a new strand, and you decrease those one at a time. And that's how we made those. You make 2 hearts, and then as soon as you have your 2 hearts, you take a wingspan worth of yarn and just kind of flip through both of those and stitch them up with a whip stitch. So I saw some of you showing me your first heart done, so I feel like some of you are on your way to making the next one. Please, please, please share them at Learn with Michael so that I can see what all you're making and I can give you a shout out too. So thank you again for coming. It looks like we have about 7 minutes. So if anybody wants to stick around, I'll get us started on the next heart. If you want to drop off, that's okay too. So thank you so much for coming. My name was Meghan Fahey and I'm with Michael. So come back again.
Hey Megan, before you go to the next one,
Yep.
someone was asking how do you prevent there to be, I guess, little holes. So even though you mentioned about using some more of your yarn to
Fill it.
stuff it with,
Mhm.
so they won't see the polyfill, I guess how can you get it just a little bit closer so you wouldn't have to worry about the little smaller holes?
Absolutely. So if you end up having some gaping spot, this can be really forgiving. So if you just cut yourself an extra little piece of yarn, you can kind of fix that stitch up by really just going in and kind of tying it together. So if you have a big gap, you can kind of just tie it together and then hide that yarn. And I bet nobody would even be able to tell that you just did that. So you can really hide a lot of things. So that's just one example. If you do have a lot of those gaping holes, it's probably because the loops you were pulling were a little bit too big. So if you just want to pull maybe 1 or 2 fingers worth instead of 3 fingers worth, that's probably going to help you out too. So I will get started on the next heart. If you want to stay with me, you're welcome to. Otherwise, thanks for coming. This was a really fun class and I can't wait to see what we make next. So to start a heart, you're going to do your slip knot. I have my fingers pointing towards me. Here's my tail. Here, excuse me. Here is my working yarn. I'm going to twist my wrist and I'm going to go counterclockwise. And then I'm going to put my fingers in here and grab the top, grab the working yarn, pull it through, and then you have your slip knot. So with your slip knot, you can tighten that slip knot up so it's about 2 or 3 fingers. And then you're going to grab some of that working yarn and you just made a chain stitch. Then you are going to go in that same spot that you just pulled up a loop. And instead of pulling one coming up, you're going to push one going back. And this is the hardest part, making this pretzel. Once you have this pretzel, you flip the whole thing over. So now the working yarn is coming down. And I have 2 loops. So I'm going to stitch this direction and I'm going to stitch 1, 2 loops. Now, every time you go from right to left, you're going to increase. And every time you go from left to right, you're going to just stitch. So I've just stitched 2. I flipped it over so that the working yarn is coming down. And now I'm going to increase. So I'm going to pull through this first loop. And then this is tricky, but you want to find another piece of yarn in this pretzel twist. Sorry, it's fluffy, so it's hard to see. And you're going to pull this through to make another loop. And then over here, here's this little bit right before you get to the loop. You're going to pull a loop through there. And you're going to pull a loop through here. And you're going to end up with 4 stitches. So now that we have just finished increasing to 4, we're going to go this way and we're going to stitch all 4 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to increase again. And I'm going to increase by pulling this first loop and then going next to it and pulling up another loop. So I squeeze 2 in there. The middle two are going to stay the same. And then when you get to the last stitch, go right next to it and pull another loop in between there. And there. So now we are up to 6. We've just increased to 6, so we're about to go backwards and stitch 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to increase to 8, we're going to increase to 10, we're going to increase to 12, and then we're going to break off and do the top halves of our heart. So I'm going to increase to 8 this time by pulling the first one, squeezing it into the next one. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've increased to 8. It should be fanning out. You're doing it correctly. And then I'm going to go back and stitch those 8. I'm going to increase to 10. Go in between and find a spot to pull up another one. Go in between and find another one. And I have now increased to 10. I'm going to stitch all 10 of those going from left to right. I'm going to increase to 12, and then we're going to break off to do the top part of our heart. So I'm increasing when I'm going from right to left, and I'm adding an extra stitch in here, just on the ends. You can tell that I do this a lot since I'm going pretty fast. Okay, I'm up to 12. I'm going to stitch the 12 going across from left to right. And then this is just a little bit different because this time to finish off this, we're going to stitch 12 again. Usually we increase when we're going this direction, but we're going to stay at 12 and we're going to just stitch those 12 one more time to give our heart a nice shape. And now here's where this gets a little bit different because we're just going to focus on this left-hand side of the heart. We're about to stitch just 6. So halfway through, if you went further than 12 stitches, make sure that you go to your halfway point. We're going to go just to 6 and then we're going to start decreasing. So here comes just 6 stitches and then stop because we're only doing half of it. Here we go. And then when you are doing these 6, we're about to decrease to 5, going this way. So the way that you decrease is stacking your loops on top of each other and pulling through. So I have decreased by combining those 2 stitches together. And now I've decreased myself to 5. I'm about to decrease to 4, and I'm going to keep going until I decrease all the way down. So stacking on top of each other and pulling the loop up through. And you can see that stacking on top of each other leaves this nice stitch along the side, keeping it kind of a nice heart shape. I'm going to decrease by stacking these, and I'm combining those stitches down to just 3. Someone said in the chat they have to work on their pretzel. I feel like I need to work on my pretzel after this too, right? Pretzels sound really good all of a sudden. So I have 2 stitches. I'm going to combine those down to 1. And at this point, you're able to cut about 6 inches of a tail. And then I want this stitch, I want this to look like a nice continuous movement. So I'm going to fold this over so that it gives it a nice round top. And I'm going to go from the back, and I'm going to come through and kind of pull a knot. And then I'm going to tuck this backwards to kind of hide that extra yarn. There we go. And then over here, you don't have to do anything fancy to start. You just go ahead and leave a little bit of tail and pull your first loop through over here, leaving just a little bit of tail. And then I'm going to do 6 stitches, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to keep decreasing. So 1 on top of each other, decrease. And I have now decreased down to 5. Stack these on top of each other in order to decrease down to 4. Stack these on top of each other to decrease down to 3. And stack and decrease to 2. And stack and decrease to 1. We've done it. Okay. Cutting a little bit. I'm going to fold this over so that it keeps a nice stitch pattern. I'm going to go through the back and go through both layers of that stitch and pull it. And then I'm going to stitch this yarn. And I'm going to kind of tuck it through one of these stitches on the back. And that's my heart. And you can kind of mess with this in order to get a rounder, nicer shape. And then this is what the other side looks like with all those purl stitches going horizontally. And any of these extra tails, you can just kind of stick underneath a couple of stitches and you'll never be able to see them. So that's what I have for you today. Once you make those 2 hearts, then you can just stitch them together. Looks like one more question about the pretzel, and then I think I gotta go. So with my slip knot, I have here, twist my wrist, grab the working yarn, and I have my slip knot. I'm going to push the slip knot up so that this isn't too big. I'm going to grab some working yarn, and I have my chain. And then next to it, so I pulled up this loop to make the chain. And then instead of pulling the loop up through, I need to take some of the working yarn and push a loop backwards. And that's how you make the pretzel. And right now the pretzel has the working yarn coming out towards me with these 2 loops. And in order to start your stitching, I want you to flip it over. And I want your working yarn to be going down towards the table. And then you can just go ahead and stitch these 2 and start the whole process. How do you end the top and make it rounded? So you take the last loop and you fold it on top of the next stitch over, and then you pull the tail up and through. So it's that folding it over that keeps it kind of rounded and nice. So I'm very excited to see what you're working on. We're going to get this to you as quickly as possible. Once you have both hearts, put them bad side, or put them good side to good side together, the bad sides on the outside, so that you stitch around, Then you flip it inside out, stuff it, and then you go ahead and stitch it up perfectly at the end. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you join me again, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you.